I will show you how to solve almost any Sudoku using 4 simple steps. And with that, it's solving time. Step number 1, you want to look for digit restrictions from 1 to 9. Notice how you have a 1 here in row 1 and in row 2, and you have 1s in columns 9 and 8. The only place to put a 1 in block 3 is right here. Greetings, friend. This puzzle from the 2025 Sudoku Grand Prix is perfect to show you my 4 easy steps that will solve almost any Sudoku puzzle. And before I show you the next solve, I want to hear from you. What percentage of Sudoku puzzles are you able to solve on your own? 100%? 50%? Please, please, please share in the comments and help me grow the internet's best Sudoku community. Next, you want to notice is where the 1s can go in block 5. You notice this 1 cuts across row 5, so the 1 can only go in these 2 spots. And so you do want to find the restrictions of any 3x3 block where a candidate can go only 2 times. You want to mark that because if you solve one of these cells, you can solve the other right away for that candidate. And then you can do the same thing here in block 7 with this one and with this one cutting across 2 places for a 1 right there. So those are the marks for the 1s. No other marks or solves. Let's move on to the 2s. You'll notice that with these 2s, 2 places for 2 in block 3. Mark that. And then with this 2 and these 2s, 2 places for 2 in block 4. And with these 2s, 2 places for 2 in block 9. And you're just testing this puzzle out to see where the restrictions are and get those solves in. Look at the 3s, these 2 3s. The only place left for a 3 in block 3 are those 2 spots. No other marks or solves with the 3s. You go to the 4s. We have this 1 4 doesn't let you get to any marks or solves unless you happen to notice right here that a 4 can't be here, so it has to be here in the column 5. And then you can put a 5 right there because that's our next step. And this brings me up to step number 2. You want to mark pairs within a block. All right, so with this 5 and this 5, you can solve for a 5 right here in block 1. And then with these 5s, you can put 5s right here in block 4. And you may notice that the marks for the 2s and the 5s are in the same 2 cells. Whenever you have this situation, you found a hidden pair. The 2 and 5 have to be somewhere in the block. They're in the same 2 cells. It means nothing else can be in those 2 cells. So you can mark that hidden pair with the 2 and the 5 and exclude all other candidates from those 2 cells. And then with this 5 and this 5, you can solve for a 5 here in block 9. And you notice that once you displace a mark, like we displaced that 2, you can solve the other cell for a 2 immediately. And then with this 5 and these 5s, you can put a 5 here in block 6. And in block 8, with this 5 and these 5s, you can solve for a 5 right there. Now, let's move on to the 6s. With this 6 cutting up here, you can solve for a 6 in block 1, the only place it can go. And then with these 2 6s, solve for a 6 in block 8. And something else I want to show you here, you might see that if you look in column 7, where can a 6 go? Can't be here because of this 6, and it can't be here because of this 6. So the 6s are limited to these 2 spots. That makes them a claiming pair. And what that means is since the 6s have to be somewhere in column 7 and they're restricted to block 6, a 6 can't be anywhere else in that block. You can't put a 6 here or here because if you do, you'd have no place to put a 6 in column 7. Another way to find this would be to look at this 6 coming up column 9 and this 6 cutting across. And so the 6s are limited to these 2 spots in block 3. This would make them a pointing pair. And by pointing, it means since they're in the same column, column 8, a 6 can't be anywhere else outside the column. So that's the difference. A pointing pair is a single candidate strategy that shows that you can't have that candidate outside of the block, where the claiming pair restricts the candidates within the block. Okay, so if you found this as a claiming pair or a pointing pair, you end up making the same exact marks. And now we're going to go over here and start looking for the 7s. You might notice you have a 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 9 in block 1. That just leaves you with a 3, 7 naked pair. So it's a naked pair because those are the only 2 candidates that can appear in this block. And these candidates are very powerful because they're also called locked candidates. What that means is not only are they a naked pair for block 1, but since they're in the same column, they're a naked pair for column 2. So a locked pair is one that applies to 2 different houses. So a block and a column, or a block and a row. And that means now a 3 and 7 can't be anywhere else along this column. So the 3 and 7 cannot be in any of those spots. And that helps us out quite a bit because you'll see this 7 cutting across here, which limits the 7s to these 2 spots in block 8. And so that makes them a pointing pair of 7s. 7s can't be here anymore. Can't be here and here because of this 7, and now it can't be here because of this locked pair. So you can actually solve for 7 in block 7 just like that. And so I cover all 4 types of pairs: the naked pair, the hidden pair, the pointing pair, or right here, and the claiming pair in my free Sudoku solving guide. You can download it from the pinned comment below. But what this allows you to do now is continue on with the 7s. You can now, since you have a 7 there, you can mark the 7s in block 4, and that is it. Move on to the 8s. You'll see with these 2 8s, 2 places for an 8 in block 2. And then in block 5, this 8 cuts across here. It's in the same 2 spots as the 1s, so you found another hidden pair. It's a 1, 8 hidden pair. And then with these 2 8s, 2 places for an 8 in block 7. And you'll look over here in block 9. There's only 2 possibilities left. It's got to be a 4 or an 8. Now this is a naked pair, but it's not a locked pair because the 4, 8 are not in the same row or column. So they can only affect what goes on in the block. Now we can move on to the 9s. With these 2 9s and this 9, you can solve for a 9 in block 2. And then with this 9 and these 9s, solve for a 9 in block 7. And then follow them up with those 9s and this 9. You can solve for a 9 in block 4. And then with these 2 9s and these 2 9s, you can solve for a 9 here in block 6. Okay, leaves me up to step number 3. This is a critical part. You went through all the digits 1 through 9. Now, if you made some solves like we did here, you want to go back through. But now emphasize the heavy houses. So a house is a Sudoku row, column, or block. A heavy house is one that contains at least 5 digits, like row 1 has a 1, 5, 6, 8, or 9. The more digits that are already solved in that house, obviously the better chance you have of solving the remaining cells because you have more restrictions and more impact. So you did the 4 and the 5 here in column 5 and finished this column. Now look at the impact row, column, and block over here in block 9. Since you have a 4 right there, you could actually solve that 4 and 8 and solve that for a 4 right away. And then look here in row 7 and row 8. Because you have an 8 right here, it displaces this 8, and you can finish up row 8 with an 8, which leaves you just a 1 and a 3. Since you have the 3s here that act as a pointing pair, this can't be a 3, that has to be your 1, and that's going to be your 3. which leaves you with a 4 and a 3 down here in block 7. Well, the 4 is right there. This has got to be your 4, and that's got to be your 3 in the corner. Bum, bum, bum. Okay, this is a little trick of SudokuPad. Whenever you get a 3 in the corner, you get a little music there. It's kind of nice. So now we have a full house. 8 of 9 cells filled out in column 1. So you can solve that for a 1 now, and then you want to go through, and this is what I call tip number 4. You want to hunt for marks and hidden singles. Once you solve something, see if you can eliminate some of these marks, whether they are the center marks or the corner marks, because that's where your greatest restriction is, and it cleans up the grid. You're going to get a lot of solving very quickly if you can do that. So this 1 means that has to be an 8, and that has to be a 1. And then if you look here, you need a 3 and a 4 to finish block 5. So you're going to look for some hidden singles here. That's got to be your 3. That's got to be your 4. And then this 4 and this 4 means you can solve for a 4 right here. And with these 4s and this 4, you can solve for a 4 right here. And once you hit on a marking, then you can solve another cell right away. Because that displaces the 6, which displaces the 3, displaces the 2. And it's another 3 in the corner. Bum, bum, bum. Leaves you a full house. Always look in the block first to see what the missing digit is. In this case, it's a 7. And then you can go across and see that you're missing a 6 right here. Okay? And then you want to see, like, where's my greatest restriction? Actually, in column 2, you have what's like a full house, because the 2, 5 have to be here, 3, 7 have to be there. The only thing that's missing is a 4. So you can solve that for a 4. Take these 4s and these 4s and solve this for a 4, which displaced that 5 and that 6. So you can solve those very quickly. Now this 5, hunt for a mark. You can disambiguate the 2 and the 5 right there. Nice. And then you might notice in row 5, you have a marked 7. This could be a possibility. There's no 7 across, so you know you can absolutely solve that for 7 first, which leaves you now with a 3 and a 6. You got the 6 right here. Bring on over. That's a 6. That's going to be your 3. And then follow the last digit you solved and see if you can solve it in the next block. So those 2 3s and this 3 means you can solve that for a 3. And this has to be a 2 to finish row 4. See how that works? And then I'll look here and go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. You have 7 and 8. 8's right there. So here's your 8. Here's your 7. And then with this 8, you can displace that 8. Solve this cell for an 8. With this 3, you can disambiguate the 7 and the 3 right there. Solve this for 7, because there's no 7 there. Displace this 7. Solve this cell for 7, and your last digit is a 1. Hope you get your SudokuCon tickets. I will be there. Now, challenge yourself to apply the 4 steps you just learned to this next puzzle. Thank you so much for watching.